time to come out here and be a part of this, man. Seriously.
My pleasure. My pleasure. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Morning. Jeff had mentioned that we're going to go to that market like we were before, where there's multiple offers and going for over asking. We're in it now. Yeah. If anybody's out there active, we're in it right now. So just know that. Okay. So just to give you a little, for those that are planners, we're going to take a break at 11:15, and I've got. I'm going to be throwing a lot of stuff at you. My over/under is 10 pages of notes. Okay, if I haven't given you enough information where you can take 10 pages of notes, I've failed, right? So there's going to be a lot of good information. So I've broken it down into 3 parts, and again, I'm just hitting highlights. I'm throwing a bunch of stuff at you, and with the hopes that something may click with everybody that we can make some money with. So the 3 topics that I broke it down to is number 1, mindset. Who could use a little adjustment between the ears? Anybody besides myself? Yeah, we've been slapped around for the last 90 days. So let's correct that, and I'll give you some tips and techniques on that. The second topic is skills. The skills we need to succeed in this market. Did we need any skills over the past 18 months to sell a house? No, not really, right? Not really. It was we were more order takers, right? So, but we need skills today, absolutely, right? So, and then the third part is going to be activities. What can we do? What do we need to be doing right now to get where we want to go? Okay? So we're going to take a break at 11:15. My target is hit the first 2 before the break, and then we'll come back and talk about how to put it all together and start making money. Any questions about that process? Everybody good with that? Okay, good. All right, so let's talk about mindset first. What is the definition of mindset? Does anybody have a definition or want to throw something out? Oh, by the way, this is going to be participatory, right? There's going to be a lot of back and forth out there. I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions. So anybody want to venture a guess at the definition of mindset? Okay, all right, I'll take that as a no. So mindset is what's going on in your head at any given time about a person, place, or thing. Right? What's going on in our head at a given time about a person, place, or thing. And the thing about mindset is mindset controls your attitude. Right? Attitude is nothing more than what's going on the inside, what's going on in your brain coming out through your mouth. Right? So if we don't have a good mindset, we're not going to be able to have a good enough attitude where people are going to be attracted to us and want to do business with us. So do we know how to improve our mindset? Does everybody do something daily to improve their mindset? Does anybody have a mindset routine that they do that they want to share?
I have to meditate in the morning and get right with God in order for me to be right and bring forth the positive and not let the squirrels come through.
Okay, terrific. So meditate, prayer. Anybody else? Yes?
An attitude of gratitude and positivity.
Okay, attitude of gratitude. Yes, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Right? Fantastic. Did you say you do something daily?
Write down the things you're grateful for and write down the things you can improve.
Okay, great. Grateful for and the things you can improve. Anybody else?
We had one back here.
Same thing?
Gratitude journal.
Okay.
I'll say this too, reading, not fixing, reading quality, good self-help stuff that's feeding my mind. I watch a lot of YouTube videos that are encouraging, podcasts. Those are things that feed me in the right direction to get me ready to go and be the best version of myself to the day.
Absolutely. Okay, terrific. So just know this, in the absence of us consciously doing something to improve our mindset, putting positive stuff in, we just automatically default to the negative stuff. Right? Do we have to do anything to be surrounded by negativity on a daily basis? No. I mean, we get pounded with it. And so we just fall victim to it. That's subconscious, right? We don't have to do anything to get that, right? Also, we sabotage ourselves. The brain is designed to keep us safe, right? From caveman times, it still works the same, right? Don't call that for sale by owner. They might yell at you, right? Don't do this. Or you pick up the phone and say, I'm going to call my past clients today. You're looking at the phone, you're looking at the list. I'm hungry. Right? I'm starving. Right? Or you make the first couple calls. Nobody's home. I'm going to come back and try it again this afternoon. That's just the brain trying to keep you safe, keep you in your little cocoon where nothing bad can happen. But that's not where the money is, right? So we get it from the outside. We also get it from the inside. So the only way we can improve that is by consciously doing something every single day to make that work. Who'd like some tips on how to do that? Okay, all right, great. All right, so some of these things were already mentioned. There's one thing called 10-10 visualizations, right? And the first 10 is things that you're grateful for. Things that you're grateful for. And that's the easy list, right? Some days your spouse might make it, some days not so much, right? So, but 10 things that you're grateful for at the time, that's always the perfect place to start. And then 10 things that we want to accomplish, attract, whatever we want on the second 10. That's the tough part. Okay, so 10-10 visualizations. And if we don't know what we want, that's a problem. That's the problem. Most people don't know what they want. And we're going to talk about that. All right. So most people would like to have a goal board or a dream board or something along those lines of pictures that they actually want. Well, how do we figure out what we want? Okay, we'll talk about that. All right. So we've got the 10-10 visualizations. Another thing is affirmations. Who knows what an affirmation is? You want to venture a guess?
Yeah, it's something that you say like over and over, something that you want, a way you want to feel to produce those sort of like emotions.
Okay, it's something that you say over and over for something that you want to feel so you can produce the emotion. Okay? How many people think affirmations are hokey? Anybody else? I hear that all the time. I'm not an affirmation person. All right, know this. Just like the negativity, you're doing affirmations all day long. But if we're not controlling them, we just fall victim to the other ones. Remember, nobody's home, right? And the definition of an affirmation is a statement. An affirmation is a statement of belief. A statement of belief. And once we make a statement of belief, your brain goes to work looking for evidence that that is true. Okay? So as soon as we declare something, your brain looks for it, because the greatest human need is the need to be right. So our brain goes to work looking for evidence that what we just affirmed is true. I knew it, see? I knew it. So the brain doesn't know the difference between negative and positive affirmations. Right? This isn't going to work for me. I'm too young. I'm too old. Right? I have a speech impediment. Right? Whatever it is. But I can tell you it works for everybody. Okay? So we have to consciously put in those affirmations so the brain's going to work looking for the good things, not spending all day looking for ways to confirm the bad things. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. All right. Terrific. So it's practice, and we just have to do it all over. We have to do it every single day, 7 days a week, right? So there's a saying, you can't control the first thought, but you can control the second thought. So what I mean by that is, no matter how many affirmations you do, the negative's still going to pop in. Oh, why? That was stupid. Why'd you do that? Right? The negative's still going to pop in, but we can, if we're doing positive affirmations on a daily basis, we can, nope. Right? I know if I talk to 50 people, I'm going to make $250,000 this year. I know that. So 1 down, right? 49 to go. So here's the thing about affirmations, though. When we declare an affirmation and don't take any action on it, the brain goes, they're just kidding. And it stops looking for evidence, right? There's one of the quotes, I have a wall of quotes. Well, a board of quotes. And one of them, one of my favorite ones is, write this down. Affirmation without action, ... is the beginning of delusion. Affirmation without action, ... is the beginning of delusion. If you write down every day, I closed 50 homes in 2023, and you haven't talked to anybody about real estate in 2 weeks, I mean, what are we doing, right? That's delusional. We have to take action on it, right? I'll tell you a little affirmation story. Does anybody know the name Gino Blafari? Anybody here from Berkshire Hathaway? All right, he is the CEO or whatever, I think, of Berkshire Hathaway Worldwide. And he was a buddy of mine through Mike Ferry, and he had started a company in Silicon Valley called Intero. And we were affirmation partners in 2014, and he would write down 25 times on a day, I'll net $11 million in 2014. And he'd text it to me every single day, and I would send him mine. It wasn't $11 million, but I would send him mine. And I was like, dude, how are you going to do that? He's like, I don't know. I hadn't figured it out yet, but I'm doing it. And about halfway through the year, that was the year that Warren Buffett bought Intero. And he made well over that year. So sometimes you don't have to know how you're going to do it. Just keep putting it out there and just keep taking action on it every day, and you definitely increase your chances of it happening, okay? That was in 2014. All right, so here's another way to improve your mindset. All right, so everybody turn to a clean piece of paper, and we're going to do what they call the money exercise. The money exercise. Is everybody okay with an exercise called the money exercise? Yes? Okay, good. All right, good. So we're going to write down number 1. My total cost of living for both business and personal per month is blank. How many people know exactly what their total monthly nut is, both business and personal? Okay, good. Most don't. They have no idea. All right, the month comes and it goes and they have a closing and they're like, okay, I made it this month. There's some months where we have more month than money. All right, good. So that's number 1. Number 2, my total outside monthly income is blank. My total outside monthly income is blank. That could be investment income, could be passive income from rentals, it could be a spouse's income, whatever that is, okay? Number 3, the difference, either plus or minus, of A and B is blank. All right, so my total cost of living is $20,000. My total outside monthly income is 0, right? So the difference is $20,000, right? Or $20,000 and my outside income's 5, the difference is 15. Everybody get that? Everybody with me? Okay, good. All right. Number 4, my average commission check is blank. My average commission check is blank. Number 5, I need blank number of deals per month to break even. I need blank number of deals per month to break even. That's just good business stuff, those first 5. Now we get to the fun stuff. Number 6, in addition, I would like to earn an extra blank amount of money. How many dollars per month? In addition, I would like to earn an extra $10,000, $20,000 per month. Number 7, that would represent blank additional transactions per month. I know there's math involved, A lot of people don't like to do math in public. All right, so that would represent blank additional transactions per month. And the last one, this is the money shot. I would use the additional money for. Right? And when I have people do this, I see things like pay off debt, pay my taxes, investments, right? New car. That is way too vague. Right? We have to be extremely specific. As a matter of fact, the answer to number 8 should probably be a whole nother page, right, of things that we want. New car, well, what kind of car? Right? Well, either a Porsche or a Land Rover or a BMW. Okay, well, which one? All right, well, I'm not sure yet. Okay, so specifically what things? Investments or savings. Okay, how much savings? Well, I'd like to save $100,000. Okay, how much does that come out to per month? Does that fit in what you're trying to do? So in essence, whatever number 7 is, or excuse me, whatever number 6 is, I'd like to earn an extra, say, $20,000 a month. So that's going to be $240,000. On number 8, we literally spend $240,000. Does everybody get that? Raise your hand if you're with me. Okay, good. All right, so you think if you knew that, and I'm going to make reference to this again in a little bit later, but do you think that would help you get motivated if you knew why? I'm not a big, you have to find your why, right? But the juice has got to be worth the squeeze, ladies and gentlemen. The juice has got to be worth the squeeze, right? And if you don't know what it is, it's going to be hard to keep going every day, okay? All right, any questions about that? That's the money exercise. No? Okay, good. All right, good. So a couple other things in terms of mindset, right? Write this down. Knowledge equals confidence. Knowledge equals confidence. And ignorance equals fear. Knowledge equals confidence. Ignorance equals fear. Okay, so is it safe to say the more we know, the more confident we're going to be? Right? Okay, so here's some example of some of the things that, some of the knowledge we should have. What to say, right? And we're going to talk about objection handling later. I'm going to give you a chance to throw some out, right? But there's only so many things that a seller's going to say, right? They haven't changed since the 20s. They still say the same thing. I have a friend in the business, right? I think my home is worth more. Will you cut your commission, right? All of those things. They don't ever change. But if we knew what to say, we wouldn't, I hate that one. How about market statistics? Market statistics, they're beautiful to work with, right? Does everybody know theirs? Right? Their overall market for whatever area they're in, the MLS average overall. Also your personal stats. How do you stack up to the market? Right? Am I a product of the market or do I outperform the market? If you knew and you could prove it with numbers that you consistently outperform the market, are you going to walk into a house with a little more swag? Yeah, absolutely, right? So market stats. Does everybody know there's going to be 4.7, they're projecting 4.7 million sales in 2023. 4.7 million sales in 2023. Okay, how many are we going to do? Right, if we take how many we want, our goal, divided into 4.7 million, it's probably 0.00000001. Right, so there's plenty of deals to be done. All right, and then the other thing is value proposition. It's amazing how many people don't know this. Why Jeff Gilmore? Why Tim Rohan? Why you? Why should I pick you? Right? You need to be able to answer that. If someone says, oh man, I hope someone asks me that because I know why. Right? And the thing about it is when I hear that, when people give their value proposition, well, I treat my clients like family. I go the extra mile, right? All of that is, it sounds good, right? But what we're looking for is people only care about who? Themselves. Do they care about us at all? No. Right? So our value proposition, right, whatever we list, those are features, but we have to be able to convert those features to the benefit to the client. If we can't do that, if they don't see the benefit in our value, they're going to ask us to cut our commission. They're going to go with someone else. People will always pay for value. Jeff witnessed this one time. We were playing golf, and he said, man, we're in a 5% market now. And I said, no, we're not. You're just a 5% agent. Right? People will always pay for value. Right? So, all right. Who thinks some of those tips and some of those things we can act on would improve our mindset?
No doubt.
Anybody besides me? Okay, good. All right, good. So that concludes the mindset. Keep in mind, I'm just giving some little high points here, throwing a lot at you. Okay, so the second portion is the skills portion. The skills portion. All right. So this is kind of some of the stuff that if we have these skills, we'll have some confidence. We'll have a better mindset. We'll have a better attitude. Right? So, okay, number one in skills. You appeal to only 25% of the population. We actually repel 75% of the population. Does anybody know why that is? Does anybody know why that is? Well, Jeff told me that there's, you already had a conference on this, or a lunch and learn, or whatever you call them.
Masterclass.
Master class. Excuse me. Master class.
That's right.
Right? There's 4 different personality styles. And when we're just out there doing our shtick, we just appeal to whoever else is our same personality style. People like doing business with people like themselves. Okay? Because they feel comfortable. And so we're repelling the other 3 personality styles. Okay, so who would like a little cheat sheet to know who we're talking to and how we can communicate with the different personality styles? Quick little cheat sheet? Anybody? Okay, good. All right, so clean sheet of paper. Again, this is just the very basics of what we're talking about. Okay, so I want everybody to just take a line down the center of their page vertically, and then a line down the center of their page horizontally. So we should have 4 quadrants. I'm one step above construction paper and crayon, so I can't click slides and do all that. I don't have any of that stuff. Okay, good. Is everybody ready? Okay, good. At the top of the vertical line, write low emotion. Low emotion. At the bottom of that line, all the way down at the bottom, write high emotion. To the left of the horizontal line, write slow indecisions. Slow indecisions. And then to the right of the horizontal line, anybody want to take a guess? Fast indecisions. All right, we got an advanced group here. Gilmore always brings out the best, that's for sure. Okay, good. All right, so in the top left quadrant, top left, is the analytical personality. The analytical personality. So the analytical personality, as we can see, has low emotion, and they're slow in making decisions. Analytical, low emotion, slow in making decisions. Okay, so here's a few tips how to figure them out. They're all about the facts and figures. facts and figures. Okay, yeah, accountants, CPAs, engineers,
Yeah.
right?
That's it.
They want the details. When you're talking to them, they often seem detached. Detached. They speak in a monotone voice often. They're monotone. They love the process. Oftentimes, analyticals are dry and witty, right? Very dry sense of humor. And analyticals always want to know how. How. Okay? All right, now the top right quadrant, we're going to write driver personality. And the driver is low emotion, fast in decision. Low in emotion, fast in decision. Okay, and the driver, they're bottom line oriented, right? Just tell me, just give me the facts. Don't talk to me about being pregnant, just show me the baby. Right? Right? They're forceful and direct. Okay? Often seem rude, right? They're results only. They're bottom line, results only. They're also very proactive. And drivers always want to know what. Drivers always want to know what. Okay, on the bottom left, everybody keeping up? Okay, good. All right, bottom left, write down amiable, the amiable personality. Right? The amiable is slow in decisions, but high in emotion. I'm going to give you an example of all these in a minute. All right, so the amiable is warm and friendly. They're soft-spoken. They're always concerned for others. They're team players. And they always need to know why. That's the amiable. School teachers often amiable. Okay, the last category is expressives. Expressives. Okay, obviously expressives are fast in decisions and high in emotion. Okay, so expressives, they talk a lot. They talk a lot. Some others do as well, but expressives, they're a mile a minute. They jump subjects quickly. Right? Like mid-sentence talking about something, they'll just start talking about something else. Right? Very friendly and enthusiastic. Right? They're often the life of the party. Right? And expressives always want to know when. Okay, so just so you know, this comes from a guy, if you want to do some research on this, the guy's name was Larry Wilson. Larry Wilson, and the name of his book is called Versatile Selling. Versatile Selling, Larry Wilson. Okay, so here's the key. There's two keys to this. First thing is, it doesn't matter what you think you are. It only matters what other people think you are. Do you get that? Everybody wants to think, oh, I'm a driver, man. You kidding? I'm a driver. But they're not. Okay, and I'm going to give you an example. All right, the second thing is, we've got a personality style, but then under pressure, under stress, we'll often have a backup style. Right? I know we're getting complicated. We're getting into the weeds, but this is as deep as I'm going on this. Okay? So one of the questions on the pre-qualifying script that we use when a seller is, will you please describe your home for me? Okay? So I'm going to go through the different personality styles and explain the way that they would answer that same question. Right? If you use a script, there are certain questions on that script that should be tells. Right? I know by the way they answer this, they're going to tip their personality style to me. Okay? So the analyticals, would you please describe your home for me? Oh, absolutely, right? They just get excited at that. It's 1,572 square feet. It's, we've got a, 0.38 acre cul-de-sac lot, right? The HVAC was replaced in, 1995. The roof was replaced in 2022, and it was upgraded. It was a 30-year architectural shingle, blah, 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 blah. Get it? That's the analytical. You're going to give you facts out the wazoo. The driver is going to say, best house in the neighborhood, what do you want to know? Right? That's it. They're just boom. Right? The amiable, oh, we just love our house. This was the house that, when we bought it, the kids, when they all, after school, they would all come over here to our house. We love it. We hope we find somebody that loves the house as much as we do. Okay, that's the amiable. They're not going to tell you anything about their house, just how good it is. Okay, the expressives, right? Similar to the analyticals, you're going to have to stop them from telling you about the house, right? Oh, man, this house is incredible. Wait till you see it. We've got a covered front porch, and we got a swing out there. I love sitting out there and watching the kids get off from school, and I love sitting in the swing. Oh, and the master, unbelievable. We redid the master bath. We got this garden tub. I love sitting in there with the garden tub. I usually do it on Fridays, and I'll get a glass of wine, and I'll, And did I tell you about the screen porch out back? Unbelievable. We spend more time out there than we do inside. Right? That's the expressive. So can you see, if we're paying attention, they're going to tip their cards, right? And if we know which personality style they are, is it going to be easier to convert them? Yeah, absolutely, right? So I usually do this in the beginning, but I didn't, so let me do it now. How many people work primarily sellers? Sellers? Sellers, okay. How many people work primarily buyers? Okay. How many people do both? Okay, good. For the people that do both, I'm going to encourage you to lean more towards the sellers and less towards the buyers. But anyway, so, but buyers, the same thing, right? If we knew their personality style, right, we would know how to convert them, okay? So I don't want to get into the weeds on this, but did anybody find that helpful? Okay, good. Does anybody, who would say, let's put some hands up and we'll see. Who thinks they're analytical? Analytical? Okay, we got a couple of those. Okay, who thinks they're a driver? Who thinks they're a driver? Okay, good, some drivers. Who thinks they're amiable? Amiable. Okay, good, that's our biggest group so far. And who's expressive? All right, we got expressive. Yeah, see, 2 hands up, expressive, right? Bright pink jacket, expressive. Right, expressives, usually they walk in, they got sequin jacket on, they're like...
A shade towards other areas.
That's how you know expressive right there. Okay? Okay, good.
Right.
Okay, how are we doing on our 10 pages of notes? Are we on track? Okay, all right, good. Okay, so how do you know if you're right? How do you know if you're right in what you're guessing about the personality style?
They start playing back what you're saying.
Bingo. They participate. They participate, right? You can have a conversation. If they're sitting there like they're watching a cow watching a train go by, right? We're off base, right? We're not in rapport. People say rapport. Oh, I see, oh, you have a golf trophy. Do you play golf? I play golf. Oh, you have a puppy. I love puppies. I love them, love them, love them. That's not how you build rapport. That's how you irritate people, right? You build rapport by asking them questions. They give you tips, and then you feed off that. That's how you build rapport, okay? So, yes, they communicate, all right? So, in terms of skills, right, when we're prospecting, right, or lead generation, or whatever you want to call it, write this down. 70% of your appointments will come from lead follow-up. 70% of your appointments come from lead follow-up, not the first call we make. Okay, now there's different sources that have different levels of success with that, right? And we'll talk about those when we get into activities. Okay, but 70% will come from lead follow-up. So what is a lead, first of all? Right? Well, we have to define that for ourselves. Right? Does anybody, and there's kind of a sliding scale, right? Depending on our production level, right? If we're just starting out and somebody says, yeah, I'm thinking about it, that's a lead, right? But then when we start doing, 10, 20, 30, 50 deals, we need a whole lot more certainty than that, right? We're not in the, I'll steal from Bill Gallagher, we're not in the hauling and hoping business, right? So I've got a little cheat sheet for you in terms of what most people consider a lead, or what we used to teach for a lead. I thought I had it here. Hold on, bear with me. But we get to decide what we call a lead, and that will rise the more production we do, okay? All right, so write this down. 0 to 10 deals. All right, can you tell I'm transactional instead of GCI? I have no idea what the GCI is. And that's what Mike Ferry says. I'll know how good you are by how many houses you sell. Right? You could be a $10 million producer and you sold $100,000 houses. Again, I'm not sure if that math works, but, or you could have sold one $10 million house. Who's the better agent? Right? You both did. So we look at everything transactionally. How many did you do? How many people did you help achieve their goal? All right, so 0 to 10 a year should keep a lead up to a year, or start with a lead up to a year. All right, 11 to 20 deals per year, 6 months. 21 to 40 deals a year, a lead should be somebody that's going to do something in 4 months. 21 to 40, 4 months. 41 to 60 deals, 45 days. Okay, 61 to 75 deals a year, 15 days.
Tim,
Yes.
break this down for me. Maybe I just missed it. Walk me through like 0 to 10. Is this like, hey, if someone's closing 0 to 10 deals or
Yes.
11 to 20 deals?
Yeah, if I'm going to sell 10 houses this year and I get somebody that's going to do something within a year, I'm going to start hanging on to them.
Got it. Okay.
Right? Yes.
So when you're saying 21 to 40, 41 to 60, that means those that are producing that number are the ones that are constantly within those time ranges are following up with their leads.
Correct.
So that's the follow-up to the lead.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. The superstars are people that are selling 100 homes a year or more. They usually have less than 10 leads at any one time. But they're ready to sign a contract within 7 days. Okay? So it depends on where we are, right, as to what our minimum standards. But the beauty is you get to decide. We're always looking for somebody that's ready to sign a contract now, which is a great segue there, unintentionally, to what we're talking about, leads right now. Is anybody having trouble converting some leads that they've had for way too long? One person? Two? Okay. All right, most of us, right, if we're being honest. Right? They're hard to come by, right? Or they were hard to come by. They're getting easier to come by. And so we're hesitant to let them go. Right? So we should look at a couple things. Number one is the further out they are, the surer we need to be that it's going to happen. Okay, so how would we know? Well, it's usually going to be triggered by a life event. I'm retiring, my last kid's graduating from high school, we're getting married, we're getting divorced, right? There's a life event that will trigger that. If somebody's like, yeah, well, Ma and I have been talking about it, we're thinking about it in a year or so, where would you go? Oh, I got no idea. That's not a lead. Okay. All right. So, but in this market right now, when we have somebody that says they're good to go, in this market, they have to be three things. Well, first of all, we know they're a lead if we know where, when, and why. We know they're a lead if we know where they're going, when they want to be there, and why they're doing it. Is it in the pain in the rear end to do a real estate transaction right now? Yeah, right? So if they're not clear on what, where, and when, and why, they're not a lead. But here's another thing I started working with my clients this week. I used to talk to this back in when anytime a buyer wrote an agent wrote an offer, they knew they'd be competing with a minimum of 10 other offers, no matter what. That was on a, if you got in early. Okay, and so I said, look, if they're not three things, you can't be working with them. In today's market, they have to be ready, willing, and able. Ready, willing, and able. And if they're not, you just can't work with them. You're wasting your time. They're not going to get a house, right? And what we found out when we started going through them, most people are only 2 of the 3, right? They're ready, they're able, they're just not willing. They're not willing to do what it takes to get that house. They're not willing to do what it takes to sell their house, okay? So they have to be ready, willing, and able. And so as you're looking through your leads and you're going to start working with them, are they ready, willing, and able? Some people are ready and willing, but they're just not able. They can only do what they can do. They're FHA 3% down. They qualify for 325. They can't do anything more, right? So they're ready and willing, just not able. Go ahead.
So if they're not all 3, do we put them on a follow-up for later on, like 6 months down the road?
Sure.
All of that based on the number that you mentioned before.
Yes, we don't necessarily throw them away, right? But you're not looking at them every day saying who's going to sign a contract today, because they're not. Right? So let's focus on the ones that can sign a contract today. Right? So we put them back in the burner. So who wants to know a good way to generate some business from those people that are going to be maybe a year out? Okay? So I'm a big fan of what we call future pacing. Future pacing. Does anybody know what future pacing is? You basically tell people what's getting ready to happen. And similar to an affirmation, when you tell them what's getting ready to happen, and then it does, they're like, man, that guy was right. Right? We make a deposit in the credibility bank with them at that point. Do we usually know what's going to happen next? Usually, often. Right? So let's future pace somebody that's, they're going to do something not this May, next May, right? Because that's when their youngest graduates from high school. Okay, terrific. What's happening then? Well, we're going to move to Phoenix. Phoenix, wow, fantastic. That's a big move. What's taking you there? Well, the other kids are already around that area. That's centrally located. We love it. As soon as this last one walks the aisle, man, we're out of here, right? We've already got some friends out there. We go out there a couple times a year. Are those people pretty much moving to Phoenix a year from May? Yeah, right? So let's keep them, right? But say, hey, listen, Jeff, I appreciate that. And what I'd like to do is keep in touch with you between now and next May. So when we get a little bit closer to time, we time the market just right. Would that be okay with you?
Love it.
Okay, terrific. And so just so you know, Jeff, it's not uncommon when I've got a great client like you that's, a year or so out, that they refer me 1, 2, sometimes even 3 people that I do business with before we actually do our deal. Right? So I just wanted to let you know that's normal and that's okay. All right? So when we touch base, I'm going to ask you who you know that needs my help. Is that okay with you? Because you're talking about it, so you're going to be talking to other people that are talking about it.
Could you say that one more time?
Yes. So, Jeff, we're going to keep in touch,
Yep.
right? So when we get closer to time, a year from May, we can time the market just right so it works best for you. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, terrific. So it's not uncommon, Jeff, when I've got a great client like you, right? Future pacing, I've got a client like you, right? That before we actually do our deal, you may refer 1, 2, or 3 people to me. That I do business with before we actually do our deal. And I just want to let you know that that's normal, right? And that's okay. Right, so when we touch base, I'm going to ask you who you've come across that may need my help. Is that okay with you? Yeah, sure. Right, can you think of anybody now? Right? You can get referrals from people that before you even do their deal with them. Right? We're future pacing them for that. Right? So.
Love it.
Yeah. So, okay. Just a little thought on that. All right. So let's see, under skills, right? I don't know if I'm going to get to the end of the skills by 11:15, but we'll get close. All right, so under skills, does anybody have any other questions about leads? Was that thoroughly exhausted about leads? But if that's going to be 70% of our business, we might as well figure that out, right? Okay, good. Okay, another thing with skills, what sources of business, how many sources of business do you have? Right? What sources are you currently working? Right? Mike Ferry recommends that we contact 4 to 6 sources every day. 4 to 6 sources every day. And one of those for sure should be our database. Right? And there's a lot of other sources. Again, we'll talk about that in action portion. Right? But our database is critical. I've got a whole nother thing that Jeff keeps wanting me to do on a database. Right? But just know this, how many people call their past clients? Okay, good. NAR reports that 91% of agents will never contact their client after closing. 90.
What'd you
Yeah,
do?
see?
Can
That
you
freaked me
believe-
out too. It's shocking. Okay, I think we're back. Okay, yeah, see what happens? 91%, right? Get your act together, people. So why not, when you do a transaction, adopt the other side as your client? Put them in your database, right? Oh, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that guy, right? I don't want to be stealing anybody else's clients. Well, 91% are never going to call them ever again, right? 87%, when they list their home, they list it with someone other than the agent they bought it from. 87%. If you're calling BS on me, start looking at the listings that come up, hit the little history button, see when they bought it, see who they bought it from. 87% of the time it will be from a different agent. Unbelievable. Right? So databases are key. If we kept in touch with them and we adopted the other side, we could get those deals, those repeat and referral deals. But how many sources do we have? Okay, the other skills we talked about a little bit earlier. Market statistics. Your market statistics. What do we need to know? The beauty about statistics is we can take numbers, the current numbers, and tell a story with those that fit anybody, right? Hey, Jeff, how's the market? It's fantastic. Are you thinking about buying or are you thinking about selling? Is that 2 different conversations if they're thinking of buying or selling? Yeah, absolutely. But what do we do? Oh, it's fantastic. Right? And then we're talking to the wrong one. So let's identify that. But the market statistics, we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But which market statistics should you know? Right? How many homes are currently on the market? How many homes are on the market? Right? And how many homes are selling on a monthly basis? Right? That gives us our absorption rate, right? Or our supply of homes for sale, and it's in the stats every month, right? Who looks at the monthly statistics from MLS, from Canopy? Yeah, they're fantastic, right? They actually email us every week. E-headlines, you can click on weekly report. It says how many homes came on the market this week, how many homes went under contract this week, right? That tells us, is inventory going up or is inventory going down? Okay, so that's one of the most important things to know, right? So a normal market, meaning it's not a buyer's market, it's not a seller's market, it's neutral, is a 6-month supply of homes for sale. 6-month supply. Does anybody know what we have today?
5 weeks.
5 weeks, 1.5, pretty much. Yep, pretty much. So is the media telling everybody it's a buyer's market right now? Values are down, interest rates are up, right? It's a hard time to sell a house, right? Buyers are having the advantage. Not so much. Not so much. Okay, but that is up. If you see inventory up 87%, right? So last week we had or last year this time, we had a 2-week supply, right? So it's all relative. So it's still, but if you knew that, do you think you could make a compelling case for a seller to list their home or a buyer? Of course, right? So the more numbers we know, right, the better off we're going to be. And that gets into the mindset and the confidence, right? We talked about the value proposition, right? Why us, right? But as part of the listing presentation script that we do for sellers, we say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you know how buyers determine value? They look at the value of your home based on its features and benefits, and then compare it to other homes that have either sold or are on the market and their features and benefits, right? And so blah, 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 we go through some comps. And so you can see that if we want to increase value, we need to either have more features and benefits. So write this down. Value equals more features and benefits for the same price, or the same features and benefits for a lower price. Right? Value more features and benefits for the same price, the same features and benefits for a lower price. Now that also applies to us. Remember when I said people will always pay for value? Right? So if we can't display to a buyer or a seller the value in what we do, same features and benefits in their eyes, they're going to see value in the person that's willing to do it for less. Right? So that's why it's critical that we convey to them our value proposition. Right? People will always pay for value. Okay? Any questions about that? All right, so that's a skill that we need. The other thing is objection handling is a skill we need to know. Right? Objection handling. Right? Does everybody know what an objection is? Right? An objection is nothing more than a question left unanswered in the mind of the client. An objection is nothing more than a question left unanswered in the mind of a client. So when we get a question, we should be excited, right? Because if they had no interest in us at all, have any questions? Nope. Like they've already dismissed us. Right? Or we've done a real good job with the presentation, either one, right? But if they give us a question, they're thinking about it, but they just have something that they need that's bugging them. And some people will throw them out there just because everybody said they should, right? So how do we handle an objection, right? We repeat what they said, approve of what they said, respond, and here's where the last part that everybody leaves off. We ask a question back. We repeat, we approve, we respond, and then we ask a question back. Right? Does anybody want an example?
Yes.
Right? So we're thinking about selling it ourselves so we could save some money. Right? We're thinking about ourselves to save the commission. There's only two things that for sale by owners think. If I sell myself, I make more money, and if I list, I lose. Right? So but yet 94% of all for sale by owners eventually list. Right? So what are we talking about? All right. So, well, I'm looking for an agent that will do it for less commission. Tim, would you do it for 5%? Right? I appreciate that. And so really what I hear you saying, and that's a great question. So what I hear you saying is you're looking to net the most amount of money out of this sale. Is that correct? Right? Anytime anybody says commission, we say net. Right? It's called a level shift, but you don't need to write that down. When they say commission, we say net. Okay? That's exactly what you should be thinking about. Right? You and I have the same goal, just so you know. Right? So if I can show you how I can put more money in your pocket, then it would make sense for us to work together, wouldn't it? Right? So we're going to throw some objections out at the end. So if you're thinking of some or you get some that you like, I hate when I get that one, write it down, and I'm going to have you throw them at me. All right, good.
Did everyone have a chance to write that down, what he just said? Because I think that's such a wonderful response, because we are getting that now. I mean, I had a conversation last week with a client who's like, hey, I think I'm going to list by myself because I don't want to pay the commission. We got to have a response. And I think that's a great one. So did everyone have a chance to jot that down? Do you want Tim to repeat it?
We're going to talk about for sale by owner a little bit later, but when we're talking about the activities, all right? Yeah, we handle an objection. The process is we repeat what they said. We approve what they said. We respond to the question they asked, and then we ask a question in return. Okay? And so usually in the respond portion, right, we should be setting them up right there. And then the question by displaying a benefit, and then the question, would you like that benefit? Of course you would. I'm available today at 4, tomorrow at 2, which is better for you. All right? But here's the other thing. With objections, we don't have to address them all. Right? Sometimes we can just let it go by and just ask the next question, and it will never come up again. So we don't have to address them all. Okay, so just know that. We have to distinguish between an objection and a reflex no. Right? We're going to shop for a pair of jeans. We walk into the mall because we know they have jeans. We walk in, somebody says, can I help you? No, just looking. No, we're going in there to find a pair of jeans. Yes, you can. I'm looking for a pair of jeans, right? But most people say no, just looking. Is that accurate? They do the same thing for us, right? The first 1, 2 things out of their mouth, we should just discount completely. Because it's warning, warning. I don't know this person. Realtor, realtor, danger, danger. Run away, don't tell them anything. Get off the phone. Right? That's their, remember, back to the beginning, that's their brain trying to keep them safe. Trying to keep them from an, oh no, if you talk to them, you're going to lose money. Don't do it, don't do it. Right? So they're going to give us some reflex no's, okay? And so is that helpful with some skills that we need to be successful? How many people are saying I'm screwed? All right, so we're going to take a break right at 11:15. Give me a hand for nailing it right at 11:15. All right? So when we come back, though, I'm going to finish up skills with 10 things that you can do to be successful with 0 skill. Okay, so that's a little tease for when you come back. All right, how long is the break, Jeff?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutos. We're going to get back in here.
10 minutes.
10 minutes? All right. You're so nice. We got stuff.
All right. So clean page. So far, did anybody get anything that they could use in the first half? First half? It's probably a little more than half, but has anybody been to, I think I did 1 or 2 other talks. Has anybody come back? I talked to a young lady. She said she's been back. Anybody else? Repeat offenders? Oh, Alice, too. Were you at one of the other ones? Okay. All right, good. Me. All right, that's how I tell if people are making money off what I say, they come back. All right, so just FYI on that. All right. Okay, so who thought they were screwed after we talked about skills? Looking at the want ads, looking at Indeed on their phone while I was finishing up. All right? So just so you know, all is not lost. Right? These are 10 things that don't require any skill to succeed. Okay? 10 things that don't require. So if you have a team, right? Everybody on the team, you should have this posted. Right? If you have kids, this is a good kid thing, right? Spouse, probably not so much. All right, 10 things that don't require any skill to succeed. Number 1, being on time for everything. Being on time for everything. Realtors are notorious for sliding up to the house on 2 wheels and fumbling their pages. Oh, traffic was brutal. All right, don't be that one. Being on time for everything. Number 2, making a full 100% effort. making a full 100% effort. If you've given everything you had, even if you don't get the results, you can hold your head up high. Right? One of the great coaches I had for years, her name was Kathy Anderson.
You got some good stuff. Your agents are here? Or?
I was like, wow, I should have. And she's like, she'd say, oh, so you should all over yourself again, huh?
Good. I'm going to jump back in there.
Should all over yourself, get it? Because I should have, right? They say there's 3 presentations that everybody makes, whether it's a buyer or seller. The one in the car on the way to meet them, the one you actually make while you're there, and then the one you make in the car on the way home. Right? Which one of those 3 is the best? Yeah, the third one, right? So making a full 100% effort. Number 3, maintaining high energy. And then put ... even if we have to fake it. Maintaining high energy. ... even if we have to fake it. Right? It's showtime. Right? I have the privilege of coaching 38 people, and I'll go from one person doing, 175 deals, making $1.5 million, to someone that hasn't sold a house in 6 months. Flip. Flip. Got to go back to the. So you got to have the same energy every time. Sometimes you have to manufacture it. Number 4, showing passion for the work you do. Showing passion for the work you do. That doesn't mean we have to all adopt the expressive personality, right?
So then you minimize how much.
But showing passion for the work you do. Number 5, using strong, positive body language. Using strong, positive body language. That is the most critical probably of all of these. It controls a lot of the others. What does that mean? A good firm handshake, whether you're a man or a woman. A woman taught me how to give a good firm handshake when I was 10. Right? Looking people in the eye when you're talking to them, right? When they're talking, smile and nod your head in approval, right? Make me feel important. So, strong, positive body language. Number 6, being coachable. Everybody should have somebody that's trying to help them out and giving them advice, whether it's a mentor or somebody, right? But be coachable. Number 7, number 6 was being coachable. Being coachable. Yep. Number 7, maintaining a positive attitude. Okay, now here's a quiz. No looking at your notes, right? How do we maintain a positive attitude? Positive mindset. There we go. Ding, 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 ding. Good group you got here, Jeff. Okay, number 8, doing a little extra. Doing a little extra. All right, that could refer back to the value proposition. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, the road to success, the pot of gold is on the extra mile. Okay, doing a little extra. Number 9, being fully prepared. All right, there's no excuse not to be prepared. It's disrespectful. Number 10, having a strong work ethic. Having a strong work ethic. So if you did all of those things and had no idea about personality style or market stats or, objections, are you still going to be successful? Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? Mike Ferry always says, if you have a lot of energy and enthusiasm, you will outproduce someone that has all the skills in the world but no energy and enthusiasm. And if you have the energy and enthusiasm and put skills on top, there's as much business as you could possibly do. Okay? All right, good. So now what do we do with all of this? Right? What do we do with all of this? What should we be doing on a daily basis? Right? So let's talk about the work day. We're going to do our mindset routine in the morning. Right? But what do we do? So Mike Ferry says that we should spend 70% of our workday in income-producing activities. 70% of the workday in income-producing activities. Okay, so what are income-producing activities? Anybody want to venture a guess? Anybody want to throw any out? Calling leads, correct. Lead follow-up, definitely.
Anything that leads to income, you know, in your current job.
Okay, yeah, right. So prospecting is one, right? Just look, the PLAN. You know if you're doing income producing activities, if you're in the PLAN, the plan. Prospecting, lead follow-up, being on appointments,
Is that A?
yep. And negotiating contracts. PLAN, 70% of your day should be spent in those activities, right? And we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. So most people confuse, you know, production with action, activity, right? They're busy all the time, right? But they don't ever do anything, right? So we're going to talk about that again, being efficient. So sometimes people say, well, God, I don't know how much do I do. Anybody ever done a time and motion study? Time and motion study? Right? You can, so basically you just take a calendar and every hour or every 30 minutes, ding, you can set your phone and you write down what you did that last hour. Ding, and you keep track of it for 2 weeks. And then look back, if you're not honest with yourself, it's not going to work. But then you'll see what you're actually doing, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked, right? Okay, so let's talk about some of those other activities that we should be doing, right? So there's three aspects of a sales situation, right? Prospect, present, and close. So we're going to have a little quiz. Prospect, present, and close. How many people think prospecting is the most important of the three? How important think prospecting is the most important of the three? Okay, some. Everybody has to participate. I'm looking. All right, number two. How many people think the presentation is the most important aspect? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, a few more. All right, how many think the close is the most important? Okay, that's what most people think. Presentation. People raise your hand. Presentation. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. The presentation is the most important aspect of the process. Okay, who wants to know why? Why? Because if you're comfortable and confident in your presentation, hey, if I get in front of somebody, I'm getting a contract signed, damn it. You're going to be on the phone looking for somebody to present to all day. So the prospecting is easy if you've got a good presentation, right? And by the same token, the close is a natural ending to a great presentation. So if you give a good presentation, the close is just like, that's just what happens. So it's the presentation, right? How many people have a canned presentation? Canned, meaning they do it the same exact way every single time. One. Okay, if you hear anything all day, hear this. Establish a canned presentation, a process, right? Whether it's a buyer or a seller, and do it the same way every single time. Okay? And it's critical that we do it the same way every single time, because if we don't, we're just winging it. And if we're in there trying to figure out what to say next, we're not hearing what they're saying to us. Right? While they're talking, we're thinking, okay, God, where do I go with this? Right? If we know where to go, if we know what's next, if we know the next question and we've got it written down, right? I always have all my notes with me, right? Then we can really focus on what they're saying, right? And what they're saying is going to give us the ammunition that we need to close. It's not the questions we ask, it's the answers that they give. When we listen to that, that's going to give us the ammunition that we need to close. Does that make sense? Okay, good. All right, good. So do the presentation the same way every time. And so we teach a canned presentation with the Mike Ferry sales system that is nothing but questions. And it's designed to be 15 minutes, you're in and out with a signed contract. How many people's listening presentation is a little longer than 15 minutes? Right? Okay. So, but there's a process that leads up to that, right? It's a 5-step listing process. So if you want to know more about that. All right, so let's talk about prospecting, right? We said that Mike recommends we talk to how many different sources on a daily basis? 4 to 6. Good. See, this is proof to people up front. Learn more, because all the answers are coming from right here. 4 to 6 every day, right? So what are some of the sources? Mike Ferry put out a report, actually 60 ways to take a listing, right? But some of the most common sources are expired and canceled listings, which are coming back. For sale by owners. What is the number one source that I said everybody needs to be calling consistently? Database, past clients, correct. All right, good, good. All right. A lot of other sources, just listed, just sold. Calling around a sale you just made, whether you had the buyer or the seller. All right. What other people are using? Some probates are a good source. Notice of defaults are coming back. I mean, there's a lot of different ones. Which ones work for you? But we should be calling 4 to 6 every day. And the reason we call 4 to 6 is because when one's up, one's down. Right? If you were the expired king in 2020, you're probably selling cars right now. Right? There was no such thing. Right? So when expireds are down, for sale by owners are what? Up. Right? Oh, it's pretty easy to sell a house right now. Doris, let's stick a sign out there and see what happens. Right? So when one's up, one's down. Also, you know, we call expireds, withdrawals, for sale by owners, low-hanging fruit. Right? By low-hanging fruit, meaning we have to talk to fewer of them to take a listing, but yet it takes longer to find one that will talk to you. So it takes longer to find them, but you need less of them. The other end of that spectrum is the just listed, just sold. When you're calling through a neighborhood, if you've got cell phone numbers, right? Because everybody says nobody's home. Well, hell, who the hell has a home phone anymore? Nobody does. Everybody's it's their cell phone, people, right? They're looking at it. I don't know that person. I'm not answering, right? But those are the highest number of contacts in an hour, but we need to talk to probably 200 of them to get a listing appointment. So we can talk to a lot of them quicker, but we need to talk to a whole lot more of them to get an appointment. So do you see why we want to balance them out? Our database, right? That's kind of right in the middle, right? So 4 to 6 sources every day. So there's a guy in, and this is a pretty common theme with the people that go to these Mike Ferry events. They've been doing a tremendous amount of business for a tremendous number of years, 20, 30 years. And they're making a couple $1 million a year selling houses. And people are always amazed when they go up and ask them what they do, what their schedule looks like, because they grind it out every single day, right? So I'm going to give you an example of this guy in San Luis Obispo, California. His name is Hal Swayze, right? And he calls his sources, right? We call it stacking. What order are you going to stack them in? Right? You usually want to get the hardest ones, the ones you dread first, do that first, and then make them easier as you go along, okay, to talk to the number of people that you need to talk to. All right, so he calls his, he's a little disciplined, but he called his prospecting directive. But as a result of him doing this every day for 30 years, he took his kids on a trip around the world for 6 months. That'd be nice, right? So, okay, so this is what Hal Swayze does. At 7:50, well, first of all, at 7:30, he role plays, he practices, right? Still, after 30 years. Right? 7:50, he calls the new expireds. New expireds, new canceleds, right? Now, Mike has a rule. We should call them when they're new, we should call them 3 times a day for 3 days in a row. He calls it the 3-3-3 rule for those. And Hal, since he does it every day, he only goes back 3 days. If we're just going to start calling them, we're probably going to have to go back a little bit further. I've got a guy in Charleston that's killing it right now from expired listings from 2018 and 2019. Right, so look up in your area which houses expired in 2018 and 2019 and just have somebody track them and see if if they ever sold, right? A lot of, or is their house worth a hell of a lot more than it was in 2018? Yeah, right, so. Okay, so new expireds. Then after that, he calls his hot leads, the hottest ones. How many days do you think he keeps a lead? 7 or less, right?
What time is he doing that one?
We don't have it by time because it may vary.
Okay.
He's just got a rotation,
Got it.
right? Some days there's no expired. Some day, like on the 1st, there's 20, 30,
Got it.
right? So there's not some every day. So he does the new expireds. Then he does hot leads, round 1, he calls it. There's a guy named Lee Marcus in Chicago that makes a couple $1 million a year. He said, I know it's going to be a good day when I set an appointment before 8 a.m. And Mike asked him, well, how many days do you do that? He said, most. Most, because he calls his hottest leads before 8 a.m. If you've got a great lead, who's ever had a great lead and then could never get a hold of them again? Yeah? Well, okay, me and her, 2 of us, right? So when you get a good lead, right, just ask them, hey, listen, I'm just curious. You're busy, I'm busy. How early is too early to call you? Right? Well, I'm up at 6:30. Yeah, me too. So if I called you at, say, 7 o'clock, that would be all right? Yeah, that's fine. Probably getting ready for work or on the way to work. Now, are they going to answer the phone when we call them at 7 a.m.? Yeah, almost every time, right? So if you have a lead that's hot and ready to go, get their permission to call them early. Yes?
It's crazy because every Friday I'll call my family members.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that anytime I call in the afternoon, I miss them right after they get off of work. But one day I called in the morning, like around 6:30 to 8, and every one of them picked up. And they were all getting ready for work, drinking their coffee. And it's crazy how you said that because of kind of like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people get busy, and by the end of the day, they're just shot. Right? I talk to people all day, every day. When I get home, good luck. Right? So, okay, then he calls a new for sale by owners. After that, new for sale by owners. Again, just going back 3 days, that's all he does, right? We will have to do more than that. Then after that, he does 10 past clients. 10 past clients or center of influence. Then after that, he does 3 absentee owners. That's another source. It's a little college area. He calls absentee owners, investors. That's a great source as well. After that, he'll do just listed, just solds, right? Still, after 30 years, he says, I have a commitment to my sellers that I will talk to at least 20 people around their house and let them know it's for sale. So he doesn't do 20 every day, but that's what he does, whatever he has for the day. Then he goes back to expireds again, round 2. Expireds, round 2. Then after that, he goes to hot leads, round 2. And then after that, anybody want to guess? For sale by owner, round 2. Ding, 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 ding. And so he does that every day, 5 days a week. And it takes him about 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours, and he talks to a minimum of 30 people a day doing that.
He talks to?
Talks to.
Not attempts to.
Mm-hmm. Talks to. And as a result, he'll do 180 deals. 180 deals. Right? So when people talk to someone like that, they're always like, that's just a lot of work. I'm okay with 50. You know, I did my money exercise. I could get what I want with 32, right? That's a grind, right? But remember when we talked about we should spend 70% of our day in the PLAN, right? He spends 3.5 hours. When we look at these people, they do more than 90% of the people in the room of 2,000 in terms of what they're willing to do on a daily basis. But if you look at how many hours they work totally in a work week, it's probably less than 80% of the people in the room. Right? So what do you want and what price are you willing to pay to get it? Right? Discipline equals freedom. Discipline equals freedom. Like, for God's sakes, Tim, I got in real estate so I didn't have to do that stuff. I didn't have to be so regimented. Right? But when you do this consistently, right, you'll look up and you're like, God, it's 3:30, I'm done. I'm out. Let's see if I can get a tea time, which you'll be able to do in next week with daylight savings time. All right, so that's just an example, right? And so there's another guy in Cape Coral, Florida. His name's Mike Darda, and he does a couple of 100 deals, right? And Hal Swayze, by the way, is just him and I think 2 buyer's agents and 2 assistants, 180 deals. So he doesn't have like a mega team or anything. He does most of the business. Mike Darda in Florida, I had a coaching client that was also a coach, and he went down and shadowed him. He said, meet me in the parking lot at 7:45. Met him at 7:45. He talked to him for a few minutes. He's like, all right, it's 5 to 8, let's go. He walked into his office, said hello to everybody, walked into his personal office. There was a phone and a stack of paper on his desk. He just walked in, took off his jacket, hung it up, put his headset on, picked up the phone, called the first number, turned a page over, just went through the whole stack. He does that every single day, 5 days a week, right? And so someone asked me on a group call I did when I was talking about this, stacking and prospecting directive, whatever you want to call yours. And they said, what's the difference between somebody like that and us? Right? And I said, well, that's a great question. I said, 2 things come to mind. Number one, they're crystal clear on what they want, and they know if I do this, I get that. Because they've proven it to themselves year over year, right? So that money exercise that we talked about, I can tell you specifically what you need to do every single day to get everything on that list, right? But most people aren't willing to do it, right? So anyway, okay. So discipline equals freedom, all right? So does anybody, so let me give you, it's going to take 90 days for you to start seeing results, even if you start doing this stuff. It takes 90 days for you to have success, okay? All right, so there's something else I want to just kind of run through briefly. Write down, you don't need a new page for this. Write down the 6 phases of mastery. 6 phases of mastery. You're going to find out why most realtors don't make it. I'm getting ready to tell you. Okay, phase number 1, formulation. We've done the money exercise. We know what we want. We've made a plan, right? Make sure always that your plan is in relationship to your goals, right? Don't take somebody else's plan and start doing that. Don't do the plan of the 180 deal guy when you do 4. It doesn't make sense, right? So do a plan that's going to work for you and your goals, okay? So phase 1 is formulation. That's where we make the plan, okay? Phase 2 is called concentration. Concentration, right? That's where we're doing it, 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 and nothing's happening, okay? In concentration, the effort far outweighs the results. The efforts far outweigh results. Has anybody ever heard the parable 3 feet from gold? 3 feet from gold? About the guy that went out to California to find his fortune in gold. And he was digging every day, digging. And he finally just said, that's it, the hell with it, I'm out of here. So he went and he got liquored up and he said, who wants to buy my land? And someone bought it for pennies on a dollar. And then they went out and 3 feet from where he had stopped, they struck gold. Right? So how many times are we right there, but we just say, I can't do this. I'm not getting any results. right? So that's why it's going to take at least 90 days. So phase 1, formulation. Phase 2, concentration. Concentration sucks. Let me just tell you right now. But we can't skip the steps. All right, phase 3 is called momentum. Momentum. So again, most agents don't ever get out of concentration, right? So momentum. In momentum, the effort equals the results. Now all of a sudden, look at that, I got one, right? There's another one, right? So now all of a sudden, we got a couple deals, we got a few listings, we got a couple buyers, we got a few pendings. And so what do? God, we work so hard to get these damn things, we start hatching them, right? We're sitting on them, we're babysitting them. And what's the first thing that goes out the window? The things we did to get us there, right? So we never get past momentum. We get a couple deals and we look up, we get a couple checks and we're like, I got nothing else going on. Now we got to go back to concentration. And what do we know about concentration? Yeah, right? So after momentum, if somehow we can figure out a way to still do what we know we need to do on a daily basis and still handle the deals we have, then we go to the next phase, which is breakthrough. Breakthrough. And in breakthrough, the results exceed the effort. The results exceed the effort. We've got some long-term leads. We future pace them to refer us some deals, right? They're sending us referrals, right? We've got some past clients. We've got some current clients. We're asking them for referrals. They're sending us other deals, right? But we still have to do those same things on a daily basis, right? Breakthrough. And then phase 6 is called mastery.
Where's 5?
Did I miss 5? Let's see. Concentration, formulation, concentration, momentum, breakthrough. I don't know. Breakthrough. I don't know what it is. I didn't bring them with me, unfortunately. 6 phases of mastery. Okay. Formulation, concentration. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Erase. Momentum comes before breakthrough. Momentum. Momentum 3. Okay. Momentum, breakthrough. Number 5 was.
Have a drink.
Oh, I got it. If somehow, number 5 is stabilization. I said it, but I didn't list it as a step. If we can somehow stabilize. After momentum, stabilize, then breakthrough on the end of stabilization. My bad. Okay, all right, everybody tear that page out of the notes.
Hold on. Then you got to get into 6, right?
Yeah, and then after stabilization, if we stabilize, then we have the breakthrough, and then after breakthrough is mastery, right?
So breakthrough is 5.
Okay, I'm confusing myself now. Formulation, concentration, momentum, stabilization, breakthrough, mastery.
All right.
Whew. All right. Any questions about that? You can't skip any steps. You might not know them all, but you can't skip them all. All right? Okay, so we've only got a couple more minutes. Does anybody have any questions about anything we went through today? Stabilization? I talked about it, I just didn't list it as a step, right? You get busy, you start doing deals, and then you stop doing what got you the deals. But if you could somehow stabilize, figure out a way to still handle the deals, but still do the most important part, that's stabilization, okay? All right, does anybody have any objections? Yes, go ahead.
Well, I just have one. What is your best conversation when you call a past client? So you call your past client, maybe you start off jovial, how's the kids, whatever. But what is your best thoughts when you call a past client to lead into maybe do they have a referral?
Okay, all right, great question. Okay, so write this down. When we're talking to a past client or center of influence, business first, personal second. Business first, personal second. Because otherwise, if we start talking about the kids and the dog, and then we say, so who do you know that wants to buy or sell a house? They're going to say, oh, you don't care about the kids. You were only calling for business. What the heck? Right? So you come across as disingenuous. Say, hey, it's a quick business call. You have just a minute for me.
Well, I mean, his mic's
right? And then just say, hey, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on there. What questions do you have about the market?
Yep.
Or you could say, similar to what Jeff asked before, what does your next real estate transaction look like? Right? Most people ask, what you're thinking about moving, you're thinking about selling. Well, how many transactions can they do with us without them moving at all? Buy an investment property, a second home, sell an investment property or a second home? A lot, right? So we want to, on our database, we want to call them, I've got a whole nother talk on database. If anybody wants that, just let Jeff know when you're filling out your code. I'll come back and do the whole thing on database. All right. Well, you still get a referral. You still get a referral on it, right? And so when I have somebody moving anywhere, so fortunately for you, I belong to a network of top producing agents throughout North America. Just imagine a top producing agent on that end working hand in hand with me on this end. Can you see how smooth that's going to make your transaction? Is that a benefit to them?
Anybody have any objections or anything? Because we're running out of time, and I want to make sure that I introduce real quick. I'll do it right now. The group in the back. I just want y'all to know, like, this is like, I'm partial, but I could for a lot of different reasons, and like and Rochelle and Matt, there's a few others that are sitting down. I don't feel like there's a better group of people who genuinely care, who genuinely show up, answer the phone, do the hard work, grind out the activity to come alongside you and your clients and helping you grow something incredible than the group that we have right here. And I just wanted to say a real second, if you don't mind raising your hand. Hunter is in the back left, Hunter Gilmore, Michelle Hood, David Tasillo, Blair Laudermilk, Lauren Hamilton, Susan Doerr, Travis Nicolason, Bruce Line, Brent, Christy, Mary Ellen, Stephen, Penny, Bobby, Carl, Ed, Matt, Sam. I say that is because sometimes I feel like we're doing these events and I don't even spotlight them. We are here to serve you. And I'm trying to do a little bit better of a job this year moving forward. If you're not working with a fairway custom, because there's multiple fairways in Charlotte. If you're not working with one of us, one of these people in this room, man, golly, we would love the opportunity to come alongside you. We'd love just an opportunity to earn a seat at the table. Put us on the bench. Let us try and get in the trenches with you, and I think you'll see. So I just wanted to plant that seed. Now, for those
Jeff, that's a value proposition, by the way.
That's it, man.
I'm associated with the best lender in the industry, Fairway Custom Homes, and so the benefit to you in that is whatever it is.
It's a giver's game, and so we want to continue to do this. So for those that need to leave, I know we're right at the time, but for those that want to stay and have some questions for Tim, are you cool ripping for 5 more minutes and just answering some, like, if y'all have objections, you're like, hey, what would you say here? I hate these mics. I'll just talk loud. Does anybody have any questions or like, hey, what would you say to this? What objection I'm getting this objection. What would you say, Tim, or what are you coaching your top agents to respond? Does anybody have anything that they're curious about or want to throw one out? Go ahead.
Interest rates.
What about interest rates?
When you have a prospect or client, they're skeptical about interest rates. Well, I think I'm going to wait because the interest rates.
Okay, so
I've got a few that I can think of, but just some clients are just like, no.
Okay, and what is your name?
Tammy.
Tammy. Okay, so first of all, are they ready, willing, and able? Can they buy? Because of the interest rate. So they can, they're ready, they're able, they're just not willing. Tammy, I appreciate that you're concerned about the interest rates. You said you wanted to buy because why?
Because I'm an empty nester now and I want to downsize.
Wow, good for you. Empty nester, downsize. It's time for you time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, good for you. So can I tell you, if we go ahead, you can qualify now, correct? And do you think the interest rates are going to go up or are they going to come down long term?
I don't know. I kind of feel like they may go up a little bit.
Yeah, they may go up a little bit. So what are you waiting for exactly?
That's good.
Okay, so yeah, you know what? And they probably are going to go up in the short term, right? But long term, right? Probably by the end of the year, they're going to projected to come back down, probably into the 5s, right? And can I tell you what's going to happen when that happens? Buyers are going to come out like ants at a picnic. And so you're going to be competing with 20 other buyers. Let's go ahead and buy now while you've got less competition. And then while you're sitting in your downsized home, you're watching them fight over your neighbor's home, driving up your value. They might as well just leave a bag of cash on your front porch, right?
Yeah, we'll share out. If you do not follow us on Facebook, Fairway Custom Mortgage, if you're a follow us, we will make sure that we put some charts up for you to just totally share. I'd laminate it. We've got some charts that the Mortgage Bankers Association, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they're forecasting interest rates in third and fourth quarter to land around 5.5%, 5.4% to be exact. And then, so here's the thing. The feds are trying to get inflation under control, so they're driving things up, which is what's happening right now. We're seeing it. We're feeling it. The squeeze is happening now. When they do, guess what's happening? With all the you're starting to see layoffs. All these things are all playing out now. So when that happens and inflation's gotten somewhat more under control, they're going to say, hey, guess what we're in, y'all?
Recession.
We hadn't admitted it yet because we have to have a reason to raise rates to slow inflation down. Now we've done that. Hey, we're in a recession. We're going to lower that federal funds rate, and so businesses and companies can get access to money to be able to better operate. And guess what happens? The federal funds rate, the 10-year Treasury typically follows that. And so guess what will happen when they bring that down? Mortgage rates will come down. So what they're saying is for 2024 and 2025, they're forecasting, the Mortgage Bankers Association, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Securitas, 63% of all mortgages in the United States. They're saying rates will be in the 4.5% range in 2024 and 2025. So I feel we need to be championing a message right now that, hey, good question, definitely a concern, but let me show you let's ask a series of questions, because if and when these rates go where the experts are forecasting them to go in the mid-4s, what do you think that's going to do to the market? Right? You're going to have a buying friend. People are going to jump off the fence, because I know myself, I look at this, my wife's like, hey, I wouldn't mind buying some land and building my own house, like putting my own touch on it. We've never, it's like, hey, yeah, that sounds great. Well, I'm at 2 5/8. There ain't no way we're buying and, we're going to be doing that and jumping to a 7, but I would at 4.5. And there's a majority of people that fall in my camp, guaranteed. And so when that happens, I'm not saying, it's not if, it's when. And you better be ready. That's why I'm saying these conversations that we need to be having, the rate is a good thing. I loved his rebuttal. Sorry to jump on that, but I want to make sure that we're educating you, because guess what you need to do? Take these slides that we'll post on our site and share them. Because golly, it's like, hey, this is the data. I've got other slides that show all the recessions that we've had and what interest rates have done. Guess what they've done when we've had recessions? Every one of them. Every recession, rates have come down. I got a Case-Shiller report showing home values, what they've done on every recession. Guess what home prices have done? With the exception of 2008, guess what home prices have done during every recession? They've gone up. And why in 2008, why was that? That was just such an anomaly. We had 3 million more homes to sell than people to buy them. Now we have 1.4 million less homes to buy than people that want to buy them. It's a supply and demand. We're not going to run into an 08. If you see the facts and can share and be that consummate professional, or lean into one of us, Fairway Custom Mortgage Loan Officers, hey, can I put you in touch with somebody who really has their finger on the pulse of what's going on in the rate environment? Would you mind if I have my Fairway Custom Mortgage Loan expert reach out and do a 15-minute consultation with you? Would that be fair? Because it's important that you're educated. Very, very easy introduction.
Just so you're comfortable with the numbers.
Yeah.
Don't tell people, just want to see if you're qualified.
Right.
I just want to make sure you're comfortable with the numbers.
Did you hear that? Don't qualify, comfortable with the numbers.
Right? Because
what a better way.
When I'm showing you a house, I want you to be able to walk in, and now you already know how much cash you need to buy it. You know what your payment's going to be. You can focus on how, setting up that house and make sure you're ready, willing, and able to jump on that thing when we see it.
Right.
Right?
Anybody
Is that
else
the
have
kind
any
of peace of mind you're looking for?
Any questions that y'all want to ask Tim before we wrap? I know we're over time, so I value everybody's time and respect that. I don't want to go too far over, but anybody have any objections? Go ahead.
I think home prices are gonna drop in the next year.
I think home prices are going to drop in the next year.
Sure, I can appreciate that. And can I tell you why that's not going to be the case?
Is your mic on?
No.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, hold it up.
Okay. Can I tell you why I don't believe that's going to be the case? Do you know what a normal supply of homes for sale is? Okay, I wouldn't expect you to, but a normal supply of homes is when there's not a buyer's market, it's not a seller's market, it's a 6-month supply of homes for sale. Okay, guess how much we currently have on the market today? 1.1. So based on that alone, do you think there's more buyers out there than there are homes for them to buy? Sure, right? From Economics 101, the law of supply and demand, right? When demand exceeds supply, what does that do to prices? It drives them up, yeah. Right, so you see, at the rate that we were currently building inventory, it would take 5 years to get back to a neutral market, much less a buyer's market.
Wow.
Does that make sense? Okay. Anybody else? Anything else? All right, so this is stuff that we with our coaching clients, we talk about for 30 minutes every week.
Hold that up.
All right, if anybody wants to learn more about that and how you can get involved in that, you know, this is not about that, but this is how to make you guys money.
Okay, awesome.
All
Hey,
right.
real quick too.